This is something that just never gets old to me. Talking about hot penny stocks. I'm John Zidar. This is On Top and Hot. And today is Wednesday. It's January 22nd. Now, I like Wednesdays because I get to dedicate the show to talking to you about what I love. Hot penny stocks. I'm a day trader. That's what I primarily trade, are stocks under $5. And I'm always looking for stocks that have potential to make us money. And I got one I want to share with you today that I got from one of the watch lists that I generated over the weekend. It was a watch list of all the atypical breakout charts that I could find, well, in a certain price range. And I had 33 of them. And one of those looks good to me right now. Even though she didn't have any movement today on the charts, I think she's going to have movement. But before we jump into that, I want to share a tidbit of news you may want to be keeping up with. Trump just took office. He's making a lot of changes, and I can't keep up with all the changes, but I'd like to. And this is one of the pieces of news I think you're going to want to be keeping up with. Trump announces a $500 billion AI infrastructure investment in the U.S. 3 top tech firms on Tuesday announced that they will create a new company called Stargate to grow artificial intelligence infrastructure in the United States. Those 3 companies are OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle. The 3 of them together are going to create the largest AI infrastructure project in history. The companies will invest $100 billion in the project to start, with plans to pour up to $500 billion, $500 billion, into the new company Stargate in the coming years. The project is expected to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. Wow! That's huge. Stargate will build the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of AI here in our country, including data centers. Ellison said the group's first 1 million foot data project is already under construction in Texas. Altman has previously urged U.S. officials to aid in the infrastructure to build out to ensure the United States remains ahead of China in the arms race, given that AI is posed to impact everything from the economy to military capabilities. And that is one of our most serious concerns. It's not all the benefits that AI can do for us. It's all the protection it can give us. And the last thing I want to read from this news press here, Trump on Monday also reversed an executive order that was passed by the former President Joe Biden in 2023 that aimed to monitor and regulate AI risks. $500 billion, folks, is not a number that we can ignore. And they're building an infrastructure for all the other AI companies to be connecting into. So I would expect that AI companies are going to be getting a big boost. But would you believe we're not talking about an AI company today? No, we're going to talk about a sector I rarely talk about, which is surprising. Considering the first 2 years that I was trading, I didn't invest in anything but cannabis. There, I said it. Normally I don't say marijuana or cannabis in my videos. I like to call it twigs, and a lot of people make fun of it. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of times YouTube will just pull my videos advertising down if I use those words. I'm not worried about it. I'm here for you, not for YouTube right now. So BGXX-Bright Green Corporation is a cannabis company unlike any other cannabis company in America. This company came onto the market back in May of 2022. And she ran hard. She came on the market at about $10, and that day she hit $58, and then came down very fast, and she has been falling for a very long time. Now, what made this company so unique compared to every other U.S. cannabis company? They only had one contract, one customer, if you will. Their contract was with the DEA. They were actually commissioned by the DEA to grow marijuana for America and distribute it. Yeah, it was a big piece of news. It definitely had everybody excited, but we were waiting for things to happen. They came out with their financials just here in November. They're not making any money. They claim they are still in the building stage of their greenhouse for the DEA project. This is very interesting. I don't know all the details, though I did read a 22-page brochure on the company when they first came out, and I do remember quite a lot of it. They were working with the EB-5 immigration program of this country. This is how it worked. If I remember it, I may have a little bit wrong here, but if somebody who was not an American invested $80,000 into the company, they would be stimulating American business and creating jobs. Repayment for that would be a green card into America. And they were going to build this massive greenhouse, the biggest I've ever seen. They had pictures of it from a computer. Out in the middle of the desert is where they were going to put it, way, way, way far away from any people. And this thing had to be, God, it looked like 2 football fields. It was gigantic. Now, the DEA wants to provide marijuana to America. I'm a little confused by this because they would have a monopoly if they go against all the companies out there. So I'm not quite sure how they want to supply it. But they want one company to be able to produce enough marijuana for the entire nation. I don't know, folks. That's a lot of marijuana. They will only hire as many people as they need to get the job done. Well, up to this point, nothing has been done. As a matter of fact, in June of last year, they let their registration expire with the DEA. That was bad. Now they have no connection to anything. They're not a dispensary. They're not growing. They have no contract with the DEA. Why are we looking at it? Because things are turning right now. First off, they do have a registration again. They did re-register in September of last year here with the Drug Enforcement Administration. Bright Green Corporation has applied to be registered as an importer of basic class of controlled substances. And then down here they tell us the company plans to import tissue culture that will be used to begin the propagation of their bulk cannabis manufacturing operation. No other activities for these drug codes are authorized for this registration. So they've got that back. However, this isn't the good news. This is just keeping things going and turning things around. Here is the good news, folks. There was news that came out December of last year. The owner of this company is not happy with where the company has gone since it came on the market. This is what they tell us. Bright Green Corporation announced today that Lynn Stockwell, he's the owner of the company, has agreed to terms for restructuring security agreement with Bright Green that is expected to be executed soon. Lynn Stockwell, the founder of Bright Green Corporation, Drugs Made in America Acquisition Corp., and Drugs Made in America Acquisition Corp. 2, seeks to align her vision to onshore the end-to-end active pharmaceutical ingredient manufacturing back to the United States. The plan realigns the company with her plan to position the company as the facilitator and supplier of plant-based controlled substances authorized to manufacture in the United States. The restructuring, and this is important, the restructuring and new direction will include the cancellation of all the company's existing contracts, expressed or implied, land purchase options, employment agreements, board member agreements, financing agreements, and even the warrants. It's a mulligan, folks. They're starting all over, fresh. And Mr. Stockwell is going to be the CEO of this new company. Now, from what I've been able to gather, they are still planning on doing what's going on here, but we just read new direction. So I'm not quite sure what that new direction entails. But from what I see, the agreement with the DEA is still in place. Everything is still moving forward, but now under the rightful management of this company. Now, he gives us a very important piece of information here. This company was on the NASDAQ up until November of last year. And then she fell under $1. She was under $1 for too long, couldn't meet it. In November, she got kicked off. And that's why she's down here on the OTC now. Well, they want to get back up to the NASDAQ. Well, our price right now on the stock is 7.7 cents. You got to be at least $1 before you are out of hot water. But you got to be at least $3 to get on to the NASDAQ. If you're jumping from the OTC or a private market, you have to get on at $3. $1 is not enough. So the only way they can do it is through a reverse stock split. And that's exactly what he tells us here. Subsequent to the restructuring, after the restructuring's done, the company plans to complete the shareholder-approved reverse stock split and seek relisting on the major exchange. Now, it was back in November, I think it was, they had a stockholder meeting and approved a reverse stock split. I found it on Google. They approved anywhere from a 1 to 5 to a 1 to 50. Well, 5 times 7 cents would be 35 cents. That ain't going to get them onto the NASDAQ. A 1 in 50 would get them to $3.50. That would get them there. Just barely get them there, but they would be on the NASDAQ. What other information we got here? Bright Green will seek to derive revenue from production and supply contracts and maintain the EB5 investor program. So everything is still in place. I don't see a whole lot of changes here except the management. Bright Green is exploring a franchise-based business model to build agricultural facilities in phases across West Texas, East Arizona, and Central New Mexico. Each facility will include 15-acre specialty greenhouses constructed annually until market demand is met. 15-acre greenhouses. I don't know how big an acre is. I would have to figure that out. But that's what they're building, and they want to franchise it, which is a very interesting concept considering this is under the jurisdiction, under the guidance of the DEA. So that's what we've got going here. New direction with the DEA. Now understand this, folks. This gives this company the right to sell their marijuana anywhere they want, any way they want, to anyone they want. They can go across borders with it. No other company can do that. They can import it and export it out of the country into the country. No other company can do that. So the company's got all the rights of marijuana being legal, even though it is not legal yet. That's what everybody is waiting for. So this company is ahead of the game, right? They're hobnobbing with the people that make the rules. And that's why everybody was so excited back in 2022 when they came on the market. But they didn't do anything with it. I'm hoping that Mr. Stockwell is more determined than whoever was at the helm before. So let's take a look now at the relative volume for BGXX. It is up. It's up about 75%. She jumped from 100,000 shares a day to 175,000 shares today. It's not a big jump, but it's an increase. And down here on the OTC, you take what you can get. We've been struggling for shares. Before COVID, we were getting 60 to 70 billion shares being moved on the OTC amongst all the 12,000 companies. Now we're getting less than 5 billion shares a day. Yeah, from 70 billion down to 5 billion. And we've been down here for over 2 years. Can't get up over 5 billion. Taking a look at the share structure of the company. Outstanding share count, we are at 191 million. I don't know what the float is because I don't know what the insiders own. I would presume the insiders would own a lot. But now, with the management change, there's only one insider, Mr. Stockwell. He is the company right now. That's all that is in there. And I don't know what he owns. I'm going to presume he owns something. So subtract that. Now, if they do a 1 in 50 reverse stock split, that is going to pull us down to just under 4 million share float. That, or at least outstanding share count. Who knows what the float will be. But whatever it is, it's going to be a low float. Anything under 10 million is a low float. So if we go through with the 1 in 50, which I'm sure they would have to do at least the 50, honestly, we're going to be at about 3.8 million shares outstanding, nothing higher than that for our float. So afterwards is going to be good. Now understand, I'm not talking to you about waiting for this reverse stock split. I'm not talking to you about waiting for this uplisting. I'm talking to you about this company right now because she has an atypical breakout. That 200 is falling, the price is falling, everything started to go flat. As soon as that weight got off of the prices back, the price starts to cut up. And when it gets through that 200, it's coming out of water into air and starts moving a lot faster. So we're just looking for a catalyst. We're looking for some extra wood to throw on the fire. The chart is hot. It just needs a reason to burn. Taking a look at the news, well, you saw the only piece of news she's got. There's just nothing else here to consider. The disclosures, the most recent disclosure, the 8K, is that news. They say if you want all the details about what happened in that deal, the transition, it is all in the most recent 10Q here, which came out in November. So if you really want to get into that, just put in Mr. Stockwell's name in the search bar, and that'll take you right to wherever it is in that financial, and you can get all the information then. So there you go, folks. We've got ourselves a cannabis company that isn't competing with anybody, just competing with themselves. They are working with and for the DEA to produce enough cannabis to supply the entire nation. They are building 15-acre grow houses in multiple states and want to franchise them. This is a great concept and it's a great idea, and it could be good for the long haul considering who's in charge. But once they change the laws and put everybody on equal footing, are they going to have an advantage? There are laws against that. So I am only really looking at the jump that I'm expecting here soon. In the next few days, I expect something to pop. One news press comes out from this company. That'll be it. This thing will take off. So let us go take a look now at the rocket that I'm talking about. Not much to look at, but there is some important information we can glean off that chart. We're over here at my free trading platform, Think or Swim. We are taking a look at ticker BGXX. This is Bright Green Corporation. And this is the entire chart for the company ever since they came onto the market. I've got a 3-year, 1-week chart opened up, so every bar is equivalent to 1 week's trading. The company came on the market May of 2022. She came on at about $10 a share, skyrocketed up to $58 a share, and then fell even faster down to 28 cents a share. From $58 to 28 cents. And then over the next year, she continued dribbling downhill to this ultimate low of 3.3 cents, which she hit in September of 2023. Now let's jump on down to that 6-month, 4-hour view, which is where I found the Atypical Breakout chart. When I go filtering through charts looking for bullish patterns, it is the 4-hour charts I'm looking at. So we've got a high about 5.5 months ago of 46 cents. She came down underneath that 200, tried to hang on, and then had this abrupt fall, and I have no idea what caused that, hitting that low of 3.3 cents. She was down there for a few days waiting for that 20-day MA to catch up to her. Once it did, she broke out, jumping from about 4 cents up to 25 cents. So you're looking at 600, 700% run right there. Came back down underneath the 200-day MA, landing on the 200 haul. And it respected that for over a month, just laid on the 200 haul. Then she took a dip, and right now she is running towards that 200 in a perfect atypical breakout. Atypical breakout. I named it. Don't go looking it up. I look for this bullish pattern the most. I think it breaks out more often than any other bullish pattern. The strange thing is nobody else talks about it. There is no name for it. So I call it the atypical breakout. That is when you have your 200-day MA on top of everything coming down fast and furious like a ski slope. And we're waiting for it to start leveling off, to start going flat, which is just starting to do now. Underneath the 200, we have the price, which is over top or on top of the 50-day MA. Underneath all of it, at the very bottom, is our 200 haul. Now, I think of this as an MA. Most people don't use it. It's my favorite MA. The 200 haul is a lot like your 200-day MA. It's got the same authority. It's got the same power. It takes 200 days of prices, averages them all together, and then puts more credence on current prices. It's relating to the price. It has a relationship with the price. The 200 MA acts like a stranger. Never ever helps the price. The 200 haul does. When you see the 200 haul turn up, I have mine in two different colors, so I know when it's turned up. When you see it turned up in this configuration and a lot of others, you will see it boost the price. It will kick the price in the butt to and through the 200 in most cases. Right now, she has just turned blue. She is on top of the 50. She is riding that 9-day MA up. She's had a pullback to bounce off of the 50, which is perfect. That is standard operating procedure here. So I'm liking this. This looks like it's ready to break out. We just need a little push. Somebody sneeze, please. Let's take a look at our oscillators. We've got volume in the picture. Not anything special though, just regular old volume. Our PPO, percentage price oscillator, is in a climb, though she's cooling off a tad bit right now. Our ADX, well, we just had a crossover. Whichever line is on the top, that's the dominant trend. The red obviously is a downtrend. The green is an uptrend. The red just went to the top of the chart, so that means it is in control right now. The yellow line tells you how strong the dominant trend is. If it's down here at the bottom, not very strong. If that yellow line is at the top, it's very strong. So this tells us we have a downtrend that's not very strong. And if you look, you can see we've had a lot of crossovers. So I'm expecting another crossover and for her to jump. Our MACD looks like our PPO. It's strong, but it's pulling back just a little bit. And our RSI was right up to the overbought, but she's fallen all the way down to 52. I don't like to see my RSI any less than 55. Take a look at our 20-day 1-hour view. So we had a low bubble here about 18 days ago of 5 cents. She went sideways off of that, got up on top of that 50, and started riding the 20. You can see she's on that 20 solid, right? For many days, laying on that 20. Then she elevated herself and graduated to the 9. The price is getting lighter. It doesn't need a strong MA to hold it up. Even a light MA can hold it up. So she's riding the 9 now for a few days. She hit a high bubble. She's had a pullback. We expect that off a high bubble. It's like hitting your head on the ceiling. First thing you do when you hit your head is pull back. So we watch for the pullback and a bounce. Pull back, hit the 50. Folks, I think this is going to rip. Every MA is crossing the 200 right now. The 50 is just crossed over and we have a bounce coming back up. Oscillators, they show more downtrend right now than uptrend. I'll give you that. Take a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. Well, we've got an uptrend on the 5-day. We were back here at just under 7 cents, and you can see she's climbing all the way until she hit this high here of 9.5 cents. Now, what I notice is that she's getting more strength. She's building up momentum. We had tiny bars down here riding pretty close to all of the MAs. The bars are starting to get bigger. She's pushing herself up onto the lighter MAs. You can see she's on the 20. Now she's on the 9. Bars are getting bigger, though she has fallen. We've gotten volatility into the picture now. So here we have momentum coming in. Hit a high. Volatility. Look at how big these bars are. The bounces are starting to occur, but we're still on an uptrend. Now, I will say that all of our MAs at this very moment are rolling down. Our oscillators are all rolling down. There is a possibility she could come down to the 200 here and bounce. And when I say that, when we come back to the 4-hour, in a lot of cases, I have seen the price fall down to the 200 and dip just a little bit underneath it. And then, as I have said in many videos, the 200 haul pulls a Babe Ruth. Pow! Hits that price and it'll bounce right back up through every single MA without slowing down, without a red bar. It'll go up to the 200 and right through the 200. It'll jump up above it a little bit and then it'll stop and come back down normally to the 200. 9 out of 10 times it won't keep going. But From down here to up there is a probable move when you see everything set up like this. So honestly, even though it looks like it is in a fall over here, if you were to look at this, that is about 6.8 cents. That's where the 200 shows up, and that's a brand new 200. Now, when a brand new MA comes onto the board, I have noticed in many cases the price will gravitate to it. Doesn't matter if the price is above it or below it, the price just goes to it. Sometimes it stays there, sometimes it just tags it and goes back to what it's doing. Well, this has just gotten here, and we had some strong reaches to it, right? She was climbing, minding her own business. Then all of a sudden, right here, we start getting these big bars. So she may drop down to this, which would equivalent out to, let's see where the 200 haul is here. That's 6. So 6.8 would bring it down to about the 50-day MA here. So she could bounce off of the 50 on the 4-hour chart, which would be the same thing as the 200 on the 5-minute chart. But I'm expecting a bounce. We just need, as I said, a little bit of catalyst, a little more excitement. The stock is right where it needs to be on the charts. We just need someone to strike the match. So there you go, folks. BGXX, the only cannabis company that has a deal with the DEA, the only one that has all the freedoms to sell it anywhere they want, be able to cross borders, no restrictions whatsoever. They are the ones that dropped the ball 2 years ago and are now being taken back by the owner of the company who is going to make things right. They still want to uplist. They do plan on doing a reverse stock split. So we want to catch this run before any of that happens, because that isn't going to be good for us at that time. So right now is a good time to put this on your watch list. But do some more homework, folks. Study up on what BGXX is really doing with the DEA. There is information out there. I don't know where. That's what Google's for. Thanks for your time, folks. Remember, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. See you, folks.